Listen up, Buttercup. Life is not a participation trophy factory, and the universe is not your personal room service, waiting to hand you a warm blanket and a mug of hot cocoa. The sooner you realize the world doesn't owe you a single shred of comfort, the faster you'll stop freezing to death in the blizzard of your own mediocrity. You are currently waiting for a magical fairy godmother to fix your life. But spoiler alert, she got a flat tire, and she's never coming. If you want a throne, you have to build it yourself out of the bricks life throws at your head. Sit up, put down the joysticks, and pay attention. Your wake-up call starts right now. Chapter 1. Your comfort zone is just a heavily padded coffin. Let's get one thing straight right out of the gate. Look around you. Look at your favorite spot on the couch. You know the one. It has an unmistakable U-shaped dent in the cushions. That dent is not a badge of honor. That dent is a warning sign. You think sitting on that couch, binging 14 consecutive seasons of a sitcom about people who actually have lives is self-care. Let me burst that delightful little bubble for you. That is a steaming pile of grade A baloney. It is not self-care. It's self-sabotage with a side of sour cream and onion potato chips. You have been sold a lie that comfort is the ultimate goal of human existence. You think a life without struggle is the dream. But comfort is the silent assassin of ambition. It creeps in, gives you a metaphorical foot massage, hands you a remote control, and slowly turns your brain into lukewarm oatmeal. You convince yourself you're just resting. But resting from what? What did you conquer today? You answered 3 emails and took out the recycling. You aren't resting like a warrior after a battle. You are hibernating like a bear that found a dumpster full of donuts. Comfort is a coffin. Get out before they bury you. Read that again in your mind. Comfort is a coffin. Get out before they bury you. When you wrap yourself in a cocoon of fleece blankets and zero expectations, you are actively burying your drive, your edge, and your future. You are voluntarily putting yourself in a heavily padded coffin, closing the lid, and wondering why it's so dark inside. You have a choice. You can stay in the fluff, or you can wake up and kick the lid off. It's not about seeking rest, it's about seeking growth. Let's talk about the price of playing it safe. You avoid risk like a feral cat avoids a bubble bath. You are absolutely terrified of looking foolish. You tiptoe through life like a penguin terrified of the ice, constantly looking around to see if anyone is judging you. You don't apply for the better job because they might say no. You don't approach the woman because she might politely decline. You don't start the business because your cousin's neighbor's dog walker might think it's a silly idea. Listen to me very closely. You don't need their permission. You don't need their permission to fail, and you certainly don't need their permission to succeed. By playing it safe, you aren't actually avoiding failure. You are guaranteeing it. Playing it safe merely guarantees you a front-row spectator seat to watching other men live the exact life you secretly daydream about in the shower. You become a professional audience member in the theater of your own life. You sit in the bleachers eating lukewarm nachos while another guy, a guy who is probably less intelligent and less talented than you, but infinitely more courageous, is out on the field hoisting the championship trophy. That's the key. You have to get on the field. You have to accept that getting tackled, getting muddy, and getting the wind knocked out of you is the price of admission to greatness. Every time you choose safety, you are choosing future misery. Write this down and staple it to the inside of your eyelids. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs as much as a fully loaded dump truck driving over your chest at 60 miles an hour. Which one do you want to carry? The slight momentary pinch of waking up early, or the soul-crushing heavy machinery of looking back at age 80 and realizing you did absolutely diddly squat with your time on this earth? The choice is entirely yours. You have a choice. But don't you dare complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. This brings us to the harsh, beautiful reality of friction. Friction is fuel. Stop treating a tiny bit of discomfort like it's a 5-alarm fire. You get a little sweaty, your heart rate goes up, your muscles ache, and suddenly you act like you need to be airlifted to a medical facility. Grow a backbone. Discomfort is the universe's way of asking you, how badly do you actually want this? When your alarm clock screams at 5 a.m., that isn't oppression. That isn't a tragic injustice. That is opportunity knocking on your front door with a 20-pound sledgehammer. It is loudly demanding to know if you are a man of your word, or if you are just a collection of empty promises wrapped in a bathrobe. Embrace the grit. Ignore the quit. I will say it again, so it echoes in the empty chambers of your comfort zone. Embrace the grit. Ignore the quit. Think about the basic physics of a car tire. If a tire is on smooth, frictionless ice, what happens? It spins, it hums, it goes absolutely nowhere, no matter how hard you press the gas pedal. The only way the car moves forward is if the rubber meets the harsh, jagged, abrasive asphalt. It needs friction to gain traction. Your life operates on the exact same principle. Without the abrasive friction of hard work, difficult conversations, and physical exhaustion, you are just spinning your wheels on the ice. You make a lot of noise, but you never actually move. It's not about avoiding the grind, it's about weaponizing the grind. It's not about dodging the pain, it's about utilizing the pain. So here are your behavioral instructions for reality. This is what you start doing today. First, you violently evict yourself from the comfort zone. The next time you find yourself gravitating toward the easy path, stop, pivot. Walk directly toward the thing that makes your stomach do backflips. Take a cold shower. Lift a weight that makes you grunt. Have the conversation you've been dreading for 6 months. Wake up before the sun even considers rising. Throw the snooze button into the garbage disposal of history. Every single time you purposefully inject a microdose of discomfort into your day, you are building emotional calluses. You are building armor. You are proving to your own brain that you are no longer a hostage to a soft mattress and a warm cup of tea. You have a choice. You can be the guy who shrinks at the first sign of a chilly breeze, or you can be the guy who builds a windmill into the hurricane. That's the key. Action in the face of discomfort. You don't need their permission to change your identity today. You just need to step out of the heavily padded coffin and start breathing the cold, sharp air of reality. You conquered the illusion of safety. You've accepted that the coffin of comfort is closed for business. Now, let's talk about the absolute fairy tale you've been telling yourself since kindergarten. Chapter 2. Stop cuddling your potential and start sweating. Let's talk about the bedtime stories you were told as a kid. Somewhere along the line, probably around the 2nd grade, a well-meaning adult looked you square in the eyes and told you that you had so much potential. It was sweet, it was loving, and it was the absolute worst, most destructive piece of fiction you could have ever absorbed. Because of that little fairy tale, we now have an entire generation of grown men walking around acting like unboxed, mint-condition action figures. You are sitting on a dusty collector's shelf in your own mind, completely paralyzed by the fear of getting a microscopic scratch on your pristine plastic armor. You think your supreme value to the world lies in the sheer fact that you could do something amazing, if only you felt like it. Let me translate reality for you. Potential without execution is just a highly decorated, multi-syllable phrase for hasn't done squat. It is the ultimate participation trophy of the intellect. It is a meaningless mirage. You do not get a shiny gold star from the universe for what you could achieve if you weren't so desperately allergic to elbow grease. You have a choice. You can keep furiously polishing your imaginary trophies, or you can step down off that shelf, rip off the packaging, and get some actual dirt on your boots. It's not about possessing raw, untouched talent. It's about deploying ruthless, messy discipline. Let's look at how this plays out in the real world. Enter the theory guy. We all know him. You might even be him. Look at the guy at the local gym. He has spent 400 hours reading biomechanics articles on the absolute mathematically perfect angle for a bicep curl. He knows the science. He has memorized the Latin names of every muscle fiber. He is wearing the perfectly color-coordinated, moisture-wicking compression gear. But there is one glaring problem. He never actually lifts a single, solitary dumbbell. He is paralyzed by the desperate need to do it perfectly. He has a PhD in theory and absolute zero in results. Meanwhile, look over in the far corner of that same gym. There is a guy built like a prehistoric caveman. He knows zero science. He doesn't know what a biomechanic is. He is wearing a ripped t-shirt from a 2012 family reunion. He is just hoisting unimaginably heavy rocks up and putting them back down with terrible posture and a ferocious grunt. And guess what? The caveman is getting absolutely massive. Why? Because the caveman is executing. The caveman is sweating. Stop playing the professor of your own imaginary success. You sit in your intellectual ivory tower of someday I will, and eventually I'll start. You lecture yourself in the mirror on brilliant business strategies you've never actually tested. You philosophize endlessly about the perfect relationship you don't even have. You write out intricate 10-year plans while your laundry piles up in the corner like a modern art installation. Stop being the professor. Start being the janitor. The janitor doesn't theorize about the molecular structure of the dirt. He grabs a mop, rolls up his sleeves, and cleans up the mess. That's the key. Execution beats theory every single day of the week, twice on Sunday. You don't need their permission to look clumsy while you figure it out. You just need to start swinging the mop. This brings us to the harsh medicine you need to swallow. Motivation is a total scam. Motivation is a fair-weather friend who abandons you the very second the sky gets cloudy. You sit around waiting to feel like it. Newsflash, buddy, you are never going to feel like it. Your brain's primary job is to keep you safe and conserve energy. It wants you to sit still and eat snacks. If you wait for a magical surge of inspiration to strike you like lightning, you are going to be waiting until your teeth fall out. You have to put in the reps when absolutely no one is watching. You have to grind when the weather is terrible, your alarm clock sounds like a fire engine, your dog chewed your favorite pair of sneakers, and your motivation is completely out of office on a 2-week vacation. The universe operates on a very specific, unforgiving economy. Sweat is the only currency the universe accepts, not your hopes, not your carefully curated vision boards, not your mother's assertion that you are a very special boy. Sweat. It is time to open up your pores and pay the toll. Action cures the allergy to hard work. Burn that phrase into your prefrontal cortex. Action cures the allergy to hard work. The only way to stop fearing the grind is to immerse yourself in it until it becomes your baseline. Here are your behavioral instructions for reality. This is your homework, and it starts the second this chapter ends. I want you to identify the one major task you have been putting off because you want the conditions to be perfect. The business plan, the gym routine, the difficult conversation, the creative project. Now I want you to go do it terribly. Yes, you heard me correctly. Go do a spectacularly terrible job at it. Write a garbage first draft that looks like a monkey slammed on a keyboard. Do a sloppy, embarrassing set of push-ups. Stumble and stutter your way through the phone call. Break the glass. Ruin the pristine condition of your potential. Because a poorly executed reality will violently crush a perfectly theorized fantasy every single time. It's not about waiting for perfection. It's about demanding execution. It's about killing the illusion that you are somehow above the grime of the learning process. You are not above it. You are right down in the mud with the rest of us, and it's time you started acting like it. You have a choice. Keep cuddling that warm, fuzzy blanket of untouched potential, or throw that useless blanket in the incinerator and start sweating for real. Action cures the allergy to hard work. That's the key. You don't need their permission to stop being a gifted kid and start being a highly dangerous, highly capable man. You just need to pay the toll. You stopped theorizing. You threw your mint condition action figure in the mud. You are finally ready to sweat. But what happens when the tank runs completely empty? What happens when your body screams for a timeout? Let's rip off another Band-Aid. Chapter 3. The universe doesn't care that you're tired. Let's talk about your favorite excuse in the entire English language. Let's talk about the word tired. You walked into a climate-controlled building today. You stared at a glowing rectangular screen for an 8-hour shift. You replied to 4 emails, chuckled at a meme, and managed to pay your monthly cell phone bill on time. Now, you stagger through your front door, acting like you just wrestled a grizzly bear inside a telephone booth. You collapse onto the cushions and genuinely believe you deserve a ticker tape parade, a deep tissue massage, and a consecutive 3-day weekend to recover from the sheer, unadulterated trauma of being a functional adult. Let me drop a massive anvil of truth on your head. The universe does not care that you are tired. Guess what, sunshine? The entire animal kingdom is tired. Do you think a lion wakes up on the blistering hot savanna, stretches his paws, yawns, and says, "You know what? My hamstrings are a little tight today. I had a really weird dream last night, and my energy levels are just not giving what they're supposed to give. I think I'll take a personal day." Absolutely not. If the lion doesn't hunt, the lion starves. If the lion doesn't run, his family turns into dust. Your exhaustion is a baseline. It is the absolute starting line of reality. It is not a valid excuse to hit the pause button on your entire destiny. Everyone is tired. The guy flipping burgers is tired. The CEO running a massive company is tired. The single mother working 3 jobs is tired. You are not unique. Your fatigue is not a special medical condition that exempts you from the demands of greatness. Nobody is coming to tuck you in. I need you to hear that loud and clear. Nobody is coming to tuck you in. There is no magical bedtime fairy flying down from the cosmos to hand you a warm glass of milk, stroke your forehead, and whisper that you can skip your workout because you had a hard day. This leads us directly into the victimhood trap. Because you feel tired, you start to feel oppressed. You start complaining. You whine about how unfair the system is. You complain about the economy, the algorithm, the traffic, and the fact that your coffee was slightly too cold this morning. You cry a river, build a bridge, and then refuse to walk over it because your feet hurt. But here is the brutal reality. Your complaints are nothing but acoustic background noise to the guys who are actively passing you by. While you are parked on the shoulder of the highway of life, writing a 10-page manifesto on why the speed limit is oppressive, another man is zooming past you in the fast lane. He is just as tired as you are. He is just as stressed as you are. But he made a different decision. You have a choice. You can be the guy who crafts the absolute perfect excuse, or you can be the guy who crafts a bulletproof life. If you spend your precious, finite energy creating alibis for your laziness, you will eventually earn an undisputed PhD in complaining. You will be a world-renowned scholar in the art of doing nothing. And your reward for this prestigious degree? A bank account that echoes when you yell into it. A bank account with so many cobwebs that a spider just asked to sign a 12-month lease. It's not about seeking sympathy, it's about building stamina. That's the key. Stop waiting for the stars to align. You need to learn how to harness the grind and operate under severely suboptimal conditions. The perfect time to start your business, get in shape, or fix your life is a mythical beast. It lives in a fairy tale forest right next door to the Tooth Fairy, a unicorn, and a leprechaun guarding a pot of gold. If you wait for a day when you wake up feeling 100% energized, perfectly hydrated, completely stress-free, and blissfully motivated, you will be waiting until you are a fossil in a museum. You have to do the work tired. You have to do the work cranky. You have to do the work when your inner voice is throwing a toddler-level tantrum in the cereal aisle of your brain, begging for a nap. When you conquer the tired mind, you forge a titanium will. When you prove to yourself that your physical fatigue cannot dictate your actions, you become untouchable. You realize that your body is a machine, and your mind is the driver. The machine doesn't get to tell the driver where to go. You have a choice. You can let the machine break down in the driveway, or you can put your foot on the gas and drive it through the wall. You don't need their permission to be exhausted and highly successful at the exact same time. Here are your behavioral instructions for reality. This is your anti-fatigue protocol. Starting today, I want you to implement the tired tax. Every single time that little voice in your head says, "I'll just do it tomorrow, I'm too sleepy right now," you immediately owe the universe a tax. If you are too tired to go to the gym, you drop down and do 30 push-ups right there on the living room rug. If you are too tired to read 10 pages of a book to sharpen your mind, you read 2 pages standing up. You do not negotiate with the fatigue. You penalize it. You prove to your nervous system that feeling tired is a trigger for action, not a cue for surrender. It's not about ignoring your health, it's about ignoring your weakness. That's the key. You push through the initial wall of fake exhaustion, and on the other side, you will find a second win that most men never even know exists. You don't need their permission to outwork them. You just need to stop babying yourself. Nobody is coming to tuck you in. Repeat it when the alarm goes off. Nobody is coming to tuck you in. Repeat it when the weights feel heavy. Nobody is coming to tuck you in. You conquered the tired mind. You stopped begging the universe for a nap, and you realized that exhaustion is just a toll booth on the highway to success. But what happens when you finally take action and the world violently pushes back? What happens when someone looks you in the face and says no? Chapter 4. Stop treating rejection like a venomous snakebite. Let's talk about the 2-letter word that routinely makes grown men regress into trembling, thumb-sucking toddlers. The word is no. You treat rejection like a venomous snakebite to the jugular. You act as if a single polite decline from another human being is going to send your entire nervous system into catastrophic failure. Let's look at the historical evidence of your life. You asked one girl out at a coffee shop in the summer of 2018. She politely smiled and told you she had a boyfriend. What did you do? You retreated into your emotional bunker, took a monastic vow of silence, and haven't made eye contact with a human female since. You guard your ego like it is a priceless diamond artifact. But let me tell you the brutal truth. Your ego is actually just a fragile little balloon made of single-ply toilet paper. Rejection isn't a fatal poison. It is literally just a speed bump on the highway to getting exactly what you want. If you aren't failing regularly, if you aren't hearing the word no on a weekly basis, you have a massive problem. It means you are setting your goals so microscopically low that a toddler with a heavily loaded diaper could step over them without tripping. You are playing on the bunny hill of life because you are terrified of falling down on the mountain. It's not about avoiding the embarrassment, it's about building the resilience. You have to fundamentally rewire your brain's relationship with losing. Right now, your system is entirely broken. Every time a business idea flops, every time you bomb a job interview, every time a client hangs up the phone on you, you throw a massive, spectacular pity party. You cry over spilled milk, you write a sad acoustic song about the puddle, and then you lay down in it. Stop crying over the dairy product, grab a mop, and figure out how to engineer a better cup. Every single no you hear is not a personal insult from the universe. It is free, high-definition data. It is the world handing you the exact, precise coordinates of where you need to improve your game. Did you bomb the interview? Great. Now you know your communication skills resemble a babbling brook of nonsense. Go fix it. Did the business fail? Fantastic. Now you know your marketing strategy was a flaming pile of garbage. Adjust the strategy. Every rejection is designed to make you sharper, leaner, and exponentially meaner. Collect the no to unlock the go. I want you to write that on your bathroom mirror in permanent marker. Collect the no to unlock the go. Say it out loud right now. Collect the no to unlock the go. When you are a salesman, every no mathematically brings you closer to a yes. When you are dating, every no aggressively filters out the wrong match so you can find the right one. When you are building a life, the no is the chisel that carves away your weakness. You have a choice. You can let a simple two-letter syllable destroy your entire week, or you can toss it into your mental furnace and use it as high-octane fuel. Let's examine the titans of the world. Look at the most successful men on planet Earth. Do you honestly believe they just waltzed into the winner's circle on their very first try wearing a tuxedo? Absolutely not. If you looked at their actual unfiltered resume of failures, it would make your spine tingle. It would make your hair stand on end. They have been laughed out of boardrooms by billionaires. They have been publicly humiliated. They have launched products that cratered into the earth like meteorites. But here is the monumental difference between them and the guy sitting on his couch clutching a video game controller. They didn't sit in their parked cars and cry into their steering wheels. They adjusted their strategy. They took the hit, spit out the blood, and came back swinging like heavyweight champions in the 12th round. They got rejected, took it square on the chin, looked the universe dead in the eye and said, "Thank you for the lesson. Now watch this." You don't need their permission to be a champion. You just need to stop letting their rejection dictate your self-worth. That's the key. Here are your real-world behavioral instructions for reality. This is your homework, and it is going to make you profoundly uncomfortable. For the next 30 days, you are going on a rejection campaign. Your sole daily objective is to actively seek out the word no. I want you to ask for a 20% discount on your morning coffee. The barista will look at you like you have 3 heads, and she will say, "No." Excellent. Check the box. I want you to pitch a wild, overly ambitious project to your boss at work. He will probably shoot it down. Fantastic. Gather the data. I want you to walk up to the most intimidatingly beautiful woman in the grocery store, look her in the eye, and confidently say hello. If she completely ignores your existence, brilliant. You survived. You are going to systematically desensitize yourself to rejection. You are going to step into the fire on purpose until you realize the flames don't actually burn your skin. You will learn that after the no is delivered, the sky does not fall. The earth does not open up and swallow you whole. You do not spontaneously combust into a pile of ash. You just keep breathing. Every single time you survive a rejection without throwing a tantrum, you build another thick layer of emotional armor. You become bulletproof. It's not about being universally liked. It's about being undeniably unstoppable. You have a choice. You can hide from the word no forever, or you can wear it like a badge of honor. That's the key. You survived the snake bite. You stopped letting a 2-letter word run your life, and you finally built your emotional armor. But what happens when you look around and realize you are the only one left on the battlefield? Chapter 5. Cancel the rescue party and learn how to swim. Let's talk about the grand cinematic delusion you nurse in your brain right before you fall asleep at night. You are secretly, desperately waiting for a rescue party. You look at the absolute dumpster fire of your current situation, and instead of grabbing a fire extinguisher, you pull up a lawn chair and look at the sky. You are waiting for a mythical billionaire mentor to discover your hidden genius while you're buying a soggy sandwich at the gas station. You are waiting for a wealthy, long-lost great uncle to unexpectedly pass away and leave you a massive estate. You are waiting for a viral, microscopic cryptocurrency featuring a cartoon dog wearing a top hat to suddenly explode and turn your $42 investment into a life of yachts and caviar. You want someone or something to swoop in and pluck you out of your self-made swamp like a majestic bald eagle grabbing a remarkably lazy trout. I am here to deliver the breaking news bulletin of the century, and I suggest you listen closely. The rescue helicopter ran out of gas. The pilot went home. The wealthy uncle doesn't exist, and the dog coin is crashing. You are completely, utterly alone in the middle of the ocean, and you are the sole captain of this rapidly sinking ship. If you don't start violently kicking your legs and moving your arms, you are going straight to the pitch-black bottom of the sea to live with the algae. You have a choice. You can keep scanning the horizon for a life raft that was never built, or you can accept the water, accept the cold, and learn how to swim. It's not about hoping for a miracle, it's about orchestrating your own survival. That's the key. This brings us to the most terrifying, liberating concept in the human psychological arsenal: extreme, absolute ownership. Taking absolute ownership means you own your past, you own your present, and you own the chaotic, unpredictable mess of your future. You do not get to lease out the blame to anyone else. You do not get to point your finger at the government, the economy, your high school math teacher, or the fact that Mercury is in retrograde. If your bedroom is a toxic wasteland of dirty laundry and empty energy drink cans, it is your fault. If you are chronically broke and living paycheck to Friday morning, it is your fault. If you are out of shape and heavily winded by a moderately aggressive flight of stairs, it is your fault. If you are deeply unhappy with the man you have become, I need you to walk into the bathroom, turn on the harsh fluorescent light, look directly into the mirror, and introduce yourself to the culprit. Say hello to the mastermind who orchestrated your mediocrity. Say hello to the architect of your excuses. But while you are looking at that guy in the mirror, I need you to realize something incredibly profound. You are the problem, but you are also the cure. Write that down. Tattoo it on your forearm. Burn it into your soul. You are the problem, but you are also the cure. Repeat it with me right now. You are the problem, but you are also the cure. If you are the one who single-handedly drove the car into the ditch, then you are undeniably the only one with the mechanical power to put the car in reverse, hit the gas, and get it back on the asphalt. When you blame other people for your failures, you are voluntarily handing them the keys to your life. You are giving them all your power. You are saying, my success is entirely dependent on how the world treats me. What a weak, pathetic, fragile way to exist. Take the keys back. You don't need their permission to rewrite the script. You don't need their permission to take the steering wheel. When you finally stop looking outward for salvation and start looking inward for ammunition, a violent, beautiful transformation occurs. You stop acting like a leaf blowing helplessly in the wind, and you become the unstoppable force of nature itself. Think about the sheer, terrifying power of a man who takes absolute accountability. You cannot offend him because he already knows his flaws and is actively hunting them down. You cannot defeat him because when he gets knocked down, he blames his own footwork, fixes the stance, and stands back up. He builds discipline brick by brick. He takes the helm of his ship, grips the wheel until his knuckles turn white, and steers his life directly out of the storm. Because at the exact end of the day, a man who relies completely on himself can never, ever be held hostage by the fleeting whims of the world. The economy crashes, he adapts, the industry changes, he pivots, the crowd boos, he smiles and works harder. He is financially, emotionally, and physically self-sufficient. It's not about avoiding the storm, it's about becoming the captain who thrives in it. That's the key. Here are your behavioral instructions for reality. This is your final piece of homework, and it is mandatory. Today, I want you to perform a radical ownership audit. I want you to sit down with a blank piece of paper and a pen. I want you to write down the 3 biggest problems currently rotting away in your life. Maybe it's your bank account, maybe it's your physical health, maybe it's a fractured relationship. Next to each one of those problems, I want you to write 2 words in giant, capitalized letters. My fault. Do not write down what your boss did. Do not write down what your ex-girlfriend said. Write my fault. And then, beneath that, write down the exact agonizingly difficult action you are going to take today to start fixing it. If your room is a disaster, you are going to grab a trash bag and clean it until it looks like a military barracks. If you are broke, you are going to cancel 3 useless subscriptions and read a book on financial literacy. You are going to take immediate physical action to prove to your brain that the era of waiting for a rescue helicopter is officially over. You have a choice. You can fold that piece of paper up, throw it away, and go back to sleep. Or you can grip the pen, own the disaster, and begin the long, glorious march toward becoming an absolute titan. You are the problem, but you are also the cure. You stopped relying on the fairy tale. You stopped waiting for a handout. You took extreme ownership of your failures, your flaws, and your future. You've officially canceled the rescue party, and you've learned how to swim in the deep end of the ocean. You have shattered the padded coffin of comfort. You have stopped cuddling your imaginary potential. You have weaponized your fatigue, and you have learned to eat rejection for breakfast. Now, there is only one thing left to do. It's time to face the final truth of this journey and close the chapter on your weakness forever. Let's finish this. So here is the brutal, unvarnished bottom line. Comfort is a myth, potential is a trap, and your excuses are nothing but cheap perfume trying to cover up the stench of laziness. Over the last hour, we've torn down your heavily padded coffin. We've laughed at your phobia of elbow grease, and we've officially canceled your imaginary rescue party. You now know that the universe doesn't care about your feelings, and rejection is simply the price of admission for greatness. The hour of whining is over. The era of the sofa potato is dead and buried. You have 2 choices right now. You can click away, retreat back into your emotional bubble wrap, and continue letting life use you as a doormat. Or you can stand up, square your shoulders, and become the storm. I challenge you, do one thing today that completely terrifies your lazy inner self. Lift the weight, make the call, start the business, stop surviving, and start conquering. The world doesn't owe you a single shred of comfort, so go out there and build your own empire.